Hi guys, welcome back to the Things in My Head podcast. I'm here with Cecile.
Hello.
And my name is Jenny, and we are filming episode 14. So we're super excited to be here. If you don't already follow us on our pages, that is going to be brooksboutique.com is our website where we post all kinds of amazing luxury goods. We have several social media pages, which is Love Brooks Boutique on TikTok and Instagram. And then we have Brooks Boutique Pearland. That is our Facebook handle. We go live 4 times a day on there, and it's super fun and the best way to catch all the new arrivals that we might be having.
Yes.
If you want to follow Cecile on her personal page, that is Sweet and Petite Duo. And then they also have their realty. So if you ever need a realtor,
Thank you.
check them out.
Yes, Greater Houston area. You
Yep.
get 2 for 1. It's Brooke and I. So that's our Instagram, Sweet and Petite Duo. So,
Yep.
so thank you guys for support. This has been so fun for us to do. Thank you those that do listen to it. We are committed to doing a year, and this is episode 14.
Yep.
This is like where we get to just chat,
Yep.
where we don't put it on the Facebook Lives and it gets too much over there. So this is part 2 from episode 12, where we were doing the funny behind the scenes, crazy stories of over the 13 years we've had Brooks Boutique. And we could not fit it all in one. I think we got to 3 on that one. So we have 3 more that we wanted to share with you guys. And so this is part 2. So we try to do this with no names, so that way no one gets mad at us. But these are actual, true, and life stories over the past 13 years. So we are going to do one from year 1, like actually, completely year 1, which was 2011. So think about where you were in 2011. And then this is what I was dealing with.
I was going to say, I was in high school.
I was like, Jen was not even with me yet. This is actually going to bring us all the way back to employee number 1. And I've come a long way with great people since then. So we have one story. We try to do one employee story, one, we're going to do another like customer / like crazy story, a shoplifting story. And then we're going to do, what was the other one we were going to do? I have it here. Then we're going to do, another like take on combining both employee and theft in another story.
That one's a little mix.
It'll be a little mix. So this is just, and we thought this would be fun because we were trying to just really share what it's like sometimes as a small business. Because I know if you just look on people's socials or you look in our Facebook lives that, I personally will share a lot of my personal, but a lot of them are not necessarily the boutique stories because some were just like, I don't know if we should share in that venue, but here we can share. And 13 years in, there's so many. So if you do like these kind of stories, please let us know. Because we can drum up in our head, because sometimes I go back and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that. And they're fun to share if you want to know what it's really like on behind the scenes, that kind of stuff. So we're going to start. I think most of these are kind of me telling Jen, honestly.
This is all me hearing these stories for the first time. Like, I heard little whisperings of these things when I started working there, but I never really got the full story.
So I know out of the 3 stories I'm going to tell you, Jen was there for 2 of them, and maybe not as directly involved in. No, you were there for one of them only.
I think I was only there for one.
Okay,
maybe.
so 2 of the ones that involve employees were before Jen's time. And if you know, Jen started with me in 2015. So she's been with me a long time. And I'm so blessed, honestly. Okay, so let me start with the first one. Okay, so for those that it'd be interesting too if I heard from anybody that knew me from year 1, 2011, and actually remember some of this from the customer end, because I heard stuff later that you don't know, right? Okay, so in 2011, I opened this. I came from corporate America, where I was in different management positions. And if you're in corporate America, you have departments. You have an HR department. You have, an engineering department, whatever. You have departments that people take care of that you can go to. When you are a small business. So that being said, I've managed many people before, but if there's a real issue and it has to go higher, you're sending them to HR. And there are corporate policies that you got to follow anyway. So I have experience in that sense. But when you're in a small business, it's very personal. It's like one-on-one. And I'm going to be very honest. Like, I did not do a background check because, you know, you have no money and you're like, how do you even do a background check? I just sent them to HR.
I was going to say, did you even do one now?
The things I found out. No, I'm kidding. It's like you were in high school. There's nothing. Or you were like in college.
I was like barely.
I know.
Yeah.
You're like Brooke's age.
Yeah.
Actually, you were.
That's
crazy. You were very mature for 19. I never saw you like that. But I know her.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. She's great. Okay. So that being said, so I, was working obviously as a small business owner, just first out. There was no money coming in. So I was literally the one open, close forever for a long time. And then I knew, and the kids were so tiny then, so I needed help. So this woman comes in and this is a woman, we'll call her just, employee one. Let's give her a name. I'm gonna give her a name.
Okay.
It's not her name. I'm just gonna say, but then I'm gonna hate that name. You know where this is going. Okay, you know what? We'll just call her employee one.
Okay.
And so, no, that's weird when you tell the story. Let me call her Betsy because I don't know a Betsy. Okay, Betsy. Okay, so I knew I needed some help. Now, as you know, have known for us, most of my wonderful team members are younger now. Like that just happens to be what works for the schedule. So they're usually maybe a little bit of high school, but mainly college or in your 20s. This woman was older, which was fine, but she was older than I was, and she was, I think, I didn't know her. She came in and she was like, oh, do you need some help? Looked, on appearance, was like, oh, professional, talked well. She had said she's done resale before.
Okay.
And I was like, in the beginning, I was never going to leave her alone anyway, because, I was always have to be there. And we didn't have high-end stuff yet. It was just, random,
clothes.
whatever.
You guys even did like home decor.
I think, we were crazy. We did everything. And I think I got super excited when I got my first Coach bag to consign.
Yeah.
So anyway, we hired her, and over time I started letting her, and I'm talking just a few months, like, okay, you can close by yourself. It wasn't like it was now, so I could like go home to the family or whatever. And so let's cut to the chase. I don't even know what there might be, it's the red flags we've talked about in past episodes where you also hindsight's red flag. And so when I say red flags, it is not just about romantic relationships. It's in people, any relationship that you have. So looking back, I'm like, I'm such an idiot. So I remember times where she was married. She lived in the nice neighborhood, like around, and had a comedy show. She was like, on appearance, was like well put together. Maybe she just wanted a fun job. She didn't really need to work. She didn't have kids or anything like that. Her husband worked. And so she seemed very helpful, I know this, I know that. And I was new to resale, so I didn't know anything. Anyway, so after a few months in, you just get different things. Like I remember one day she wore, and she was never not there. She wore sunglasses, and it's a bright boutique because we're in the corner. And she's like, oh my God, my eyes hurt. I said, oh yeah, no problem. So she just wore sunglasses the whole time, whatever. And then let me cut to the chase. At one point, we did hire someone else, but I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. I just remember one time she just didn't show up. She didn't show up, right? And I was like, that's really weird. And we gotten pretty close, like we were friendly, it's just the two of us. And she would ask some of her friends that lived in the nice neighborhoods around to consign with us. She would bring it in. Yeah. And she's like, oh, my friend so-so is going to consign all this stuff. I said, that's wonderful, whatever. So at one point she just didn't show up, and I was like, that's weird. I called her, wouldn't answer. I don't remember exactly. I think we had another employee at the time, and they obviously were close too. And she told me that she found out she got arrested. None of my business. She was married, but apparently, because then of course I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening to her. I was a little worried. And the husband called me and did confirm, like to say, just so you know, Betsy is in jail. But he was not like, oh my God. He was like, it was like he put her in jail. as in he called the police because she went like crazy on him, apparently. This is his kind of like telling me. Okay. And I was like, what? I was like, is she okay? Okay. At the same time, so then, this is what happened. So they obviously were fighting. Yeah. And they got into some physical fight. He called the police. She went to jail, and he was pissed. So then he called me as her employer and wanted me to know everything, right? And that's why he said,
he was gonna
he was gonna rat her out. And he started saying everything. He's like, she's you don't know the name. Those don't think I'm talking about. You don't even know. It's like, because this is the stories I deal with. Is, you know, she's a drunk. She's an alcoholic.
Oh, dang.
And she would go to work as, you know, drunk. She actually steals from you.
What?
Like, there's things in our house right now that are things from the boutique. She has a ton of it. You know,
dang.
and you can come over right now and you could look at it and take them, because she's in jail and I'm done. And I was like this was like a few months in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost my consigners. And what is happening?
Yeah.
You know, and I was a little worried, because then I started realizing, and maybe I started at that point, like, something's off with her, right?
Did you go to her house and grab your stuff?
Well, so I called Andy, my husband, right? And at some point, and then of course I think we looked up. You know, you can look up if someone is in jail. So we looked up, confirmed that she was in jail, and it did have everything he said was true.
Yeah.
In that part. And so I think she got bail, came out, and she called me. And by then I was really pissed, mainly because of the stealing stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And so
and the being drunk at work is kind of messed up.
then a lot of things all of a sudden made sense, right?
Yeah.
But so then what we did I think I took Andy and we did go to their house, and I went and physically did get everything. And there was a bunch of stuff. But you know, the crazy part is, some of the stuff that she had taken was her friends. Like, she had got her friend to consign, and so
This was like a long con.
Yeah,
She
like,
goes to their house. She sees the nice candle holder. She's like, I want that. Consign it at the boutique.
but then she steals it.
Yeah, this
Anyway,
is the long con.
I remember specifically it was like some Tom Ford sunglasses.
No.
It's stuck in my mind. So anyway, so we picked it all up from their house, you know, because it's ours. And then at this point, I'm gonna fire her. But again, I'm like, this is so weird. I don't want her back at the actual boutique, and I had to get the key back. And I think at some point and I was just this is how funny it is. I was from corporate America. In my mind, I was still like, okay, we got to do this right, which you do. But I was like, okay, I didn't want her in the boutique. So I told her that I know you have our stuff. I know you're just getting out of jail. I said, I will press charges for the stealing unless you basically give me the key back, pay me back for whatever. I don't even know what I said. But I said, let's go to the Chamber of Commerce to meet there, because you could rent out a room, and I wanted people around. So I rented out an hour.
So fancy.
Yeah, and I told her to meet me there, and it was me and Andy. And she actually showed up, and I presented everything that I knew, and she did confirm everything. She confessed because it was in her house, you know. And I don't remember if she gave me money or not, but I got everything back, and she basically, and I was so corporate minded still then. I was like, you can sign this form that says you voluntarily resign. Or I can fire you. And of course she signed it. I think in my mind I was like, I don't want her to claim unemployment.
Yeah. And
you know, yeah. So
you just want it to be like clean and done.
But this was crazy. I was like, what is happening? I'm a bad case of judgment, or, you know, I don't have a good, whatever you call it. So then that happened. So then of course weeks after that, like over time, customers would be like, oh, where's Betsy? And I'm like, dang. I was like, oh no. I'll be like, no, she doesn't work here anymore. And then they started telling me stories about, like, I didn't realize, like, she's like, yeah, I'd be in here and she would be so drunk. She's like, oh yeah. She goes, and then she's like, yeah, you know, this is like the things they would tell me. She's like, she had something like a necklace or something, but I didn't realize that it was like a secret compartment to hold liquor. Oh,
she had a secret little shot glass.
Something. And they're like, oh yeah, she would drink out of that thing. And then she would be like with glasses, sunglasses, the whole shift. And she'd be like, I'm hungover, and tell the customers this, you know? And I'm like, and there's people that I got to know. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? And they were like, we didn't know how to tell you that. I was like, so I at that point, I didn't even know how I kept hiring people. I probably was just like, I'm just going to work at myself, because this is crazy. And so that was the craziest experience, like, of a true, like, I was a bad judge of character. Aww. And like, I learned a lot of things. You got to do background checks. You got to, like, for references. I
didn't even know that you did background checks. Did you?
Well, now we call it just Instagram stalking. Okay. Now we just call it a Google search.
Well, we also tend to hire people that we know personally, and it's like referenced in.
Yeah.
So you kind of like get a read on a person before they're like. So we kind of.
Well, that true is a difference now. Like back then, she was random off the street, which is probably honestly
random is hard.
Well, I think that's what traumatized me, and I won't hire anyone random because, to be honest with you, even the last few like people, when I say random, meaning no one knew them before, they just came in with a resume and application. They have not worked out. And that's why for us, fortunately, like our last few hires are someone that someone else knew.
Yeah.
And so that's how we've done it.
It's so much easier when you already know somebody. So that way, also it's like, you're not going to put somebody to bat for your name that is not going to show up on time and going to make you look horrible,
So that was a crazy one. That was my worst like experience employee wise. And so that one we still joke about today. Like sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes, well, it's been a long time though. I think someone mentioned her and I was like, let me Google her. Whatever happened to that?
What's Betsy doing
also,
today?
I think Betsy and her husband obviously divorced.
Sad, but
I think it was just not a good time in her life, and I do hope that her life has turned around, and she's redeemed her life back because obviously she was not in a good situation.
Yeah, alcoholism is very hard,
and toxic relationship. That marriage, I don't know, but what just I know was not healthy.
Yeah, so hopefully she's out of that, and
I'm gonna Google her.
On a journey of
I'm gonna Google Betsy and see and pray for her. Let's all pray for Betsy.
Yeah, I hope she's doing well.
Okay, so that's one story. It's so funny how long these stories take to tell because it's so much. I'm like trying to rush through them too. Okay, the next story the other one you don't know in detail. So we talk about small businesses. So I have two scenarios, both ex-employees, a little bit different, where what we do is not rocket science, but so the idea of consignment or boutique owning is not new, but I started from scratch. Like I didn't like go anywhere. Maybe this is the bad part. I mean, I just came up with it. Like I said, okay, I think in my mind I need some racks. I need a retail space. I need, and then I found a national organization, NARTS, who does it, and I learned from them. But I didn't like go to another boutique and like work for them and, see how they did it, which in that sense is not bad. I didn't do any of that. I kind of had my own idea.
Yeah, it's good to collaborate with small businesses. Actually, we had a lady recently come in. She was like, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions. I'm an author, and it's kind of like a small business, and you guys have been here for so long, and you guys do well on social media. Like, what do you feel like? She was just asking us general questions about like how we do business and how we've stayed here for so long.
So collab is
very different.
Right. I was like, that is a good collab. They're upfront. You can agree and not agree.
Yeah. They're asking you what you feel like. They're asking for your input, and you guys are working together.
Yes.
Versus like kind of going behind someone's back.
Not
is a
kind
little
of.
Different.
Completely.
Right.
So not kind of going behind your back, completely going behind your back is the difference, right? So I have two examples that I didn't even really remember. I pushed these memories down until we ran. So we had one who, so my point is like what we do, you can emulate, but not take the exact from, right?
Yeah.
So one employee was someone who was younger, but it was, and she didn't tell me. The problem is she didn't tell me knowing this has happened. Her mom was the one who consigned with us because on the slide, which what do we know? And so so she signed our consignment contract. And then what I didn't realize until I think I literally saw it down the street or in an ad or someone sent it to me where her mom, the mom of my employee, opened up her own consignment boutique down the road. But she was our consignor. So she had the contract, she knew how we did it, and she literally didn't change anything but the logo off my contract. Like she didn't create it herself. She just took my form and slapped her logo on it and started her own, which is the shady part. And the poor young girl was probably like, it's my mom versus my boss, but at the same time it made it look like she gave her all our stuff because she has inside knowledge of how we do things.
Insider secrets.
And I was obviously upset in the sense that I felt betrayed, but at the same time, just because you can take the recipe and it doesn't mean it's going to taste the same, so unfortunately, and not, for whatever reason on their part, I don't know, she didn't last but 2 years, but that was one where I was like, this is literally my contract. This is your mother.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know, I knew she was doing it, but I didn't give it to her, but I didn't know how to tell you. And I think for a while she continued to work for us and then eventually left.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna do something like that, it's good to work with small businesses, like work together, bring each other up, versus like stealing.
She stole my form.
Yeah,
she
took
for sure
that,
stole my form.
But yeah, just to do it behind it, just it's not good when you do something behind somebody's back.
Well, it's not going to be good karma for your own business.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, 13 years later, we're still here,
kicking,
living, because you can't. It has to be your own with your own sauce.
Yeah. So, and it's good to like. Obviously, like, consignment's been around forever, and there's no, we're not making the wheel, we're just like doing it a little differently.
Yeah, and we do things now, we're so different from where we were back then based on what our customers want, what we need to evolve into. So anyway, so the other one was another employee that had been with us for a long time, and then she left, and then I heard nothing from her, like, and it was on good terms, but all of a sudden, like, she ghosted me, right?
Oh.
And then all of a sudden we find out, because I think Facebook got bigger at that point, that's how long ago it was, she created again her own consignment store, her own consignment store in her house, though, because rent is very expensive. But the point was, again, that there was no like, hey, just FYI, I love working with you, I'm going to start my own. Girl, do your thing,
Yeah, then you guys could work together. Exactly. You could be like, hey.
No, but it was like, didn't tell me. She wouldn't let anyone in the group. Obviously, she was using a lot that she learned from us, and it was just so shady and nasty. Oh, but it was the poaching of our customers.
That's what I feel like is the bad thing about that certain situation. Like, to take other people's like customers, that's just a little too far, I feel.
And so
if they choose to follow you and go that way, that's like up to a person,
right?
But like to like entice somebody and try and like undersell something, like, I can get you a little bit more of a percentage, just come this way.
What was hurtful is I was so I'm always supportive, as you know, like, of what people's dreams are, and I remember she had a dream of doing something else, and I said, do it in the boutique, like, to get your start. I think it was styling or something, and I was like, absolutely, whatever. And so it was just that, like, I was so good in my mind, like, so supportive, and then to backstab in that sense was kind of nasty, but I let that go too. And I'll tell you, and that business is also not around anymore, but I don't know, like, it was years, I'm talking years later, she reached out to me. I'm thinking just like within the last couple of years, and I don't know if it was something she was heavy, like it was heavy for her, and she reached out to me out of nowhere and wanted to apologize. I think it was either a Facebook message, we never talked, apologizing and wishing us well and whatever. And honestly, at that point I was like, interesting, like, obviously this was years after that's like, why are you bringing this up now? But I gave her what she needed. In my mind, I was like, if you need that to move on, then who am I? Like, have your peace. I've moved on, but doesn't mean that we need to be close anymore. But I definitely want her to have peace also. Like, whatever that is.
That's just a boundary at that point. Like, it's already like muddied the waters so much. The bridge is burnt down. Like, there's. Like, you can't rebuild it anymore,
right?
Like, it's just better left on. But like, no ill will towards you. Like,
do your thing.
You go do your thing and be happy and do it that way. And just know that I don't feel negative towards you.
I don't feel exactly. That's what I just wanted to give her, like, I don't feel any negative on that end, but I also don't feel the need to build a relationship again. Which is totally, that's a boundary you set because that's healthy. Right. You don't want that kind of stuff. It's just done. Yeah.
Too messy.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I forgot about those, honestly. But
that is crazy. And then you hired me.
Thank God. And then after that, to be honest with you, that was like round one of like employees. Round since you and on have been wonderful, and I still like talk to everybody and but I think that's when we started being like, okay, who do you know? And anytime I'll get a resume,
it can only be from somebody you know.
Because really, Lauren will give me someone and I'm like, I don't know, because you know why? Because I don't know if they're telling the truth.
Sometimes I know we get so many amazing, it's crazy because we do get a lot of submissions of people and they have like some amazing talent on there, so I'm like, wow. But it's so hard because you never know, like, what's the highlights. Also the personality. Yes. Obviously somebody can be like so talented, so smart, accomplished a lot, but there like also is another factor of working with somebody is personal dynamic.
Yeah.
Which it could, you could have all those accolades and such great qualities and things like that. But if your personality doesn't mesh well with this certain group, then it will cause friction down the line and will make things not good. So and you can't get that from an interview.
Right. So that's why I'd rather know. And you guys, I don't even know how we've been so lucky. Like the group that we have and have had for the last several years has been like so tight. It's not, it mixes well. But y'all are so different, but everyone is so like mixes well and works well together and even hangs out a lot outside of work. Lifelong friends.
It's crazy.
All right. I know we're running out of time. Let's give Jen, how much of this story do you know about that? We're going to do a shoplifter story.
Oh, I was here for that.
You were there,
one.
right?
I was not at the boutique.
Okay.
Actually, I was never, all the times that this is like the occurrence happened with the shoplifter, I was not working that day, which is crazy because I work most days.
Yeah.
So I was like, every day that I was off, that's when she like sprung in.
Maybe she knew that she
was
was
like,
the one.
That brown haired girl.
I know. That Jen I heard about.
She's always watching everybody.
Okay, let me give the synapse then and then. Okay, so this was, I think, just last year or 2 years ago, not long. And, we are so friendly if you know us. And if you come in, that's the difference with, I think, small business is you come in and we are so happy and grateful you come in and possibly want to buy something versus like if you go to like, I don't know, Target or Forever, whatever, you're like, go get what you want. So, and you come in and Lauren in particular is so nice, like so nice and so welcoming and will remember everything about you. So I just remember that because they were the most involved and I just know the aftermath is at one point she was like, oh, Mom, this is someone's interested in this Louis. And, we get very excited. We're a true small business. We're like, oh my God, yes, please buy it. Yay. We're so excited. And then she's like, I think she's going to come back. And so we're like, okay. And so, before we've again learned a lot of things and we are too trustworthy. So we do these Facebook Lives and sometimes we get them already in the back area with the tables and numbers, and then we can't start the live right away. And so the person will walk away and the stuff is sitting there. It's not a big boutique. And so it's not like we can't see who's there. And most of the time we believe in everyone that comes in, right? It's a bunch of ladies that come in there that we know. Yeah. And so I think that's what happened so at some point she was like, oh my God, it was like a 2-piece little Louis Vuitton Papillon. Like it had a little piece.
So cute. And you never get the little pouch.
Yeah, the little pouch came with it. And then all of a sudden she went back there and she's like, oh my God, where's the pouch?
And that's the worst feeling.
And she was like freaking out. There was not that many people in the store. So lo and behold, we come back to the cameras and she sees that this person what's a good name? What's a character name that is like the Wicked Witch of the South?
I don't even know.
Glinda.
Glinda. She's a nice witch.
Oh, then who's the other one?
What the other one.
What's the Wizard of Oz last name? Glinda is the nice witch.
Glinda's the nice one. I know that because Ariana Grande played.
Okay, we did not do that right. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
So she saw that she went over there, the woman that she thought was so nice, the customer, and she took it. Like you can see on camera, she tried to cover herself and she unsnapped it and took it and was like, bye, I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, no, thieves are
they're so nice.
Good.
They're so
They distract you by talking to you and throwing you off, but they're so good.
I'm going to be honest.
It's crazy.
It may not be a good test. I have had to break Lorna being so nice. Well, not nice, but being so trustworthy in the sense of
I think that also
nobody's going to get it, right?
Moments like that, I think, teach you to
be careful.
Be careful.
Right.
Because there is no feeling that is worse when you cannot find something that is that expensive that is not yours.
Yes.
It's somebody else's. So
and it was right there.
Yeah. And you're letting someone down and you could just, you feel immensely guilty.
And I know she thought like she'd have to tell me, right? And because I know as much as we all get along, I know no one wants to tell me anything bad. I get. So, okay. So we found that on camera. And so we knew who she was. And okay. And then what happened? And I was like, okay, whatever, like anytime that happens, I will always take care of the consignor. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
So and what did we learn from it? We learned don't walk away, cover it with the sheets, whatever it is. Okay. So then so then the next day, a few days later, she's like, that woman calls, and you see it on caller ID, and she's like, hey, because she wanted an MCM backpack, and she's like, hey, she called and said, is that MCM backpack still there? I would love to get it. And Lauren is like, oh my God, that's who took it, and she's coming because she thinks she can get away with it now.
Yeah.
So now we're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do if she comes back in. And we had a plan, like they were going to have a code so that way we can call the police. I think we did call the police, and they're like, well, we can get a hold of her and tell her she's not welcome back. Or if she comes in again, call us right away.
So
that's what it was.
Can get her.
Yes, if you know she's coming back, call us right away so we can come up here and we can tell her that it's no trespassing. She cannot come to the boutique anymore. And
I think they were going to, because she had stolen and it's on camera.
Yes,
arrest
get
her.
Oh, okay.
So they were going to, and she, if I'm mistaken, she also had previous charges of theft at other stores.
Oh, yes,
like
she had a
Walmart.
history.
And so she had a warrant already. So like this was not her first. Obviously, she's a very good thief, and she was skilled at getting away.
So what happened was she came in, and our plan worked of like, let me go to the back real quick, all this stuff. Oh, by the way, side note, when we reviewed the camera that day, when she did take that little thing, we reviewed the front camera. This is how ballsy and horrible she was. And Lauren's so nice. Lauren, I think it was that Lauren came in after she was in there. She's like, oh, hey, whatever her name was. And Lauren, if you know her, she on the counter in the front room, she put her purse down to greet her. And then and like say hi and help. And then I don't know why, but we've learned again never to do that. So she put her personal purse on the counter. So Lauren put her personal purse on the counter coming in to greet this woman. And the woman then later, as Lauren walked away, came to the counter, put her bigger purse in front of it. We only knew this later on camera. And she pretended to go inside her purse, but she was really going, and she opened Lauren's purse.
Yeah, which was a flap over type.
Yes.
Like she had to open it, and then her bag was covering it. It was crazy.
Like she was purposely.
And then Lauren's like right there, like would be standing like right there.
Yes.
It was.
I don't think she took anything, or did she?
No, she did not.
Yeah.
Thankfully
not, but she was actually rummaging through Lauren's purse,
she
hiding
was going
hers.
through her bag to see if she had anything valuable in there.
Crazy. And so anyway, long story, I'm going to try to wrap this up so we had the police come because she came, our plan worked, we called, everyone distracted her.
Everybody did the thing.
And then the police came, and she freaked out when she saw the police coming. And then somehow, we won't go into the depth of it, but she got away. She got away. I was on live, if you were ever on that live, and I was like, the girls were freaking out. And I'm like, what? I didn't know what was happening because I was so focused on the live. And I was like, what is this? And all I see, and we look on cameras later, is the police takes her outside. And this is a newer police, which God bless them. We love them. But she was like, let me go to my car. And then instead of going into his car, he let her walk back into her car, and she ran in and almost ran him over to get out.
It was crazy.
Like as in like
she
got
like
in her car.
Kind of bolted out, and she almost hit him new car.
Oh, and almost hit him standing
he was
there.
Like dragged a little bit.
So we see him running to get into his car,
and they chase down the street.
He loses her, sadly. He loses her down the street, and now he's embarrassed and probably, I don't know, but he's pissed. So
she calls.
So then what happens is obviously now they want her. They know who she is.
Yep.
And so I think what happens is she calls the boutique and starts
after the chase, and she gets away. She calls the store again, being like, "Hey, I was the lady that almost got arrested."
Yes, so she called and is begging us to not press charges, apologizing,
she's like,
saying,
"I'll bring it all back.
I will never do this again." And so at this time, the policeman comes back and he's listening to her begging us to let it go. And then he gets on the phone. It's like, "Ma'am, unless you're gonna, come and so we can arrest you, there's no reason you need to call these people." And so she let it go, and then we didn't know anything else. And so about 2 days later, they were gonna go. No, the next day they were gonna go to her house because they knew and just wait for her, and she never came. And so we're like,
she's like done this before.
So then we just kind of let it go, and then 2 days later, the officer calls us back and says she just got caught shoplifting at Walmart, and they arrested her.
Oh,
thank God. Yeah. And so long story short, They put her in jail, and we just wrote up our regular report. We didn't have to go to trial or anything. But all of a sudden, like a year, 10 months later, I don't know whatever happened because I couldn't find it. I just started getting, and I never thought this would happen, but because you know how you don't always hear anything else, or they don't do anything, because she had a long record. They must have put her in jail and also made her do restitution, because I started getting checks in the mail from the correction place as a restitution, like money paying it back what she stole. Wow. And I got like 4 or 5 of them over time.
We ended up getting the Papillon back.
Yes, so she actually
consigned it.
No,
it was a pawn shop.
She pawned it.
Yeah.
She pawned it, and this is why it's so stupid. Is Lauren only remembered because she told Lauren about this pawn shop, and so Lauren said,
"Oh no, Lauren overheard her because she had a friend who didn't steal anything, who was." Kind of actually, I think the friend knew that she was stealing stuff and was scared because she was like, "What are you doing?"
So she
but didn't want to out her friend, and so she like went to her car, but she was speaking with her friend and was talking about a pawn shop.
Okay, so Lauren overheard that, and she's like, let me see if she pawned it. And she did.
Yep.
And we had the name that when she pawned it. However, we couldn't get it because it was evidence. At the end, the police ended up getting it after she was arrested to give to us. And we could, reconcile
after
it
everything
again.
was done.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she sold 2 things. One, we got money back for over time, and the other, they physically gave us back. So that, and I'm surprised that ever happens because, that's not the only, sadly, shoplifting is the thing. And so that's the only time that actually anything ever came of it on the legal side. But she had a big record.
Yeah, she did.
Anyway, so
it was not her first time.
The whole staff just that day, if you are watching that live and us following like the whole chase and the police officer, and it was crazy. This was like not that long ago, like a couple years ago.
Everybody was like, "This is the plan. If she comes in, you have to call the police. One person distract her, one person go in the back."
Yeah, and it worked. It really went.
And everybody had to stay perfectly calm,
and
so
police
that she
came
be
quick.
Queued in.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, we're like right next to the station, so it was quick for them to get to us. But oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's some crazy stories. Anyway, I know we're running late on this one. I hope you enjoyed these crazy stories and tell us what you think of these stories, and we can come up with many more that happened, and we'll just go down memory lane. But thank you guys for watching. Be good out there. Karma's up, So we love you. Thank you for supporting our podcast and our business and ourselves. If there's anything we can do for you, we will do it.
Yep.
So thanks, Jen.
That's everything. Thank you guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.